Thank you for listening to the Halycon radio broadcast. My name is Elsie, and I'll be your guide to the small town of Halycon. In the last episode, my parents had found out about my moving out of the city, and they were concerned. Knowing they would be disappointed, I took my time calling them back. In the meantime, I had a little shopping trip at Mrs. Maisie's shop. Let's keep going with my story. The phone call with my mom went as expected. Worrying, shouting, "What are you doing with your life?" I didn't know how to answer. They'd never heard of Halycon, couldn't even find it on the electronic map. My worst fear materialized. They were coming to take me back to the city to help me get back on my feet. I went to bed that night dreading the next day. Oddly enough, I slept well and found glitter scattered around the windowsill again. I dressed in the new clothes from yesterday and headed down for the morning breakfast shift. I asked Basil how to become a better cook, how to add that something special that Naomi brings to her work. He offered me several books about blending flavors. After breakfast, I spent the afternoon reading in the inn's lounge, checking my phone every few minutes, expecting my parents to storm through the door. By 3 p.m., I grew anxious. I called my mom asking where they were. "We got into town and we're starving," she answered. "So I went to this little bakery, Naomi, I think. Oh my goodness, we had the best sandwich of our lives. Then we walked through town and ended up at a coffee shop. The robot was a bit rude and insulted us, I think, but the coffee was amazing. Your dad got caught up in this bookshop. We've been here for an hour. Some man named Hobble has been talking to your dad about the French Revolution for 20 minutes. Stunned, I said, "So you're here?" "Yes, but we're almost done. We didn't expect to get so distracted. We just kept finding things. It all felt so necessary to stop." "That's Halycon," I muttered, then spoke up. "I'll come meet you. Be there in a moment." I rose from the pillowy chair and stepped into the unseasonably warm afternoon. There was a slight chill, but the sun was bright, making the cobblestones shine and the plants look happier. Trees were splashed with red leaves swaying in the light breeze. The scent of rain still lingered in the air. I'd never been to the bookstore, but it was right next to Leo's cafe. He was outside sweeping leaves from his front step. "Those city folks are in the bookstore if you're looking for them," Leo said. I tried to tell them to leave, but they insisted they were here to take you back. "Thanks, Leo," I replied. "Don't mention it." I opened the green door to the bookstore and heard loud murmurs from one of the aisles and intense but friendly conversations. "The citizens held festivals to worship human logic," an unfamiliar voice was saying. "They even crowned a woman as the goddess of reason in Notre Dame." My dad's familiar laugh echoed through the store. "Sounds like Silicon Valley." The other voice, deeper and more pointed. "How dare you compare Robespierre to a tech bro?" When I finally located them, my mom and her familiar face had her nose in a book, and my dad, talking to a surly older man with small glasses who looked as though he'd stepped out of a Renaissance fair dressed as a hobbit. He had many books in his hands and seemed to keep giving more to my dad, whose arms were already full. At the top of the stack, Citizens, a chronicle of the French Revolution. "Have you even read Schema?" the old man asked. My dad noticed me. "Ah, Elsie, you must come in here often, given how well informed this clerk is." Mr. Hobble scoffed and wandered off without acknowledging me. "Elsie," my mom said in a huff, "why are you living in a place where humans make food with their own hands? It's unsanitary. They need more AI infrastructure here. At least that Leo makes a wonderful cup of coffee, though he didn't have the negative calorie sweetener. What a disaster. I'll have to double my workout later. And that robot needs a personality upgrade. I don't know who did his installation." I smiled tightly. "Glad you guys could make it." My dad called out to Mr. Hobble, "I'm getting a tale of two cities." Mr. Hobble returned, unimpressed. "Every tourist buys that one. Try reading Camille Demolins's letters if you want heartbreak." My dad laughed. "Do you take express pay?" Mr. Hobble looked up through his small glasses. "What now?" "Here's a 20 from the Stone Age. Let's go, Clive," my mom said. As we made our way onto the streets, I noticed a few lights flickering in the treetops. They were harder to see in the sunshine, but they were there. My pulse quickened. "So where is this inn you're working at?" my dad asked, energized from his conversation. My mom buzzed around, clearly overstimulated from too much caffeine. "Yes, we need to know what you've been doing. You can't stay here, Elsie. We'll take you back to the city. Go get your things." We made our way to the inn through the warm sun, leaves floating through the air, drifting upwards as though playing with the wind. As we walked in, I saw Miss Maisie waiting in the lounge with a pot of tea. "Oh dear Elsie, I heard your parents were in town, so I made tea for all of us. How wonderful of you to join us." A teapot sat on the coffee table, and she'd brought a vase of fading sunflowers. I'd forgotten about our tea date, but here we all were. Janice had awoken from her usual resting position, and the orange cat was weaving around my mom's ankles. "Oh, I think I'm allergic to cats," my mom said in disgust. Janice smiled. "I can guarantee you're not allergic to this one. So glad you guys could come. I have a room ready for you." "Oh, absolutely not," my mom interjected. "We're not staying. We're leaving with Elsie tonight." Miss Maisie chimed in. "Oh, I had a cousin once who tried to leave Halycon, packed her entire life into one of those modern rolling suitcases, got as far as the bridge, poor dear, then her luggage turned into a pumpkin pie. Best crust I've ever tasted." My mom's face went pale. My dad looked slightly amused. Miss Maisie continued, "If you're meant to be here, you're meant to be here, Elsie. Look, my sunflowers adore you." Janice spoke with a gentle laugh. "Oh, Miss Maisie and her stories." She exchanged a knowing glance with Miss Maisie. What had been drooping flowers now stood upright, leaning towards me as though drawn by an invisible thread. I could have sworn they were withering before. My mom pulled me close. "Okay, we're leaving now. Go get your things." My dad settled into a chair and poured himself tea. "Oh, cinnamon," he said with delight. "Strange flowers, though, I must say." "Clive," my mom said sharply. "Marie, sit for a moment. Have some tea. Then we'll leave." Janice spoke softly. "Your daughter has quite a talent for cooking. You must be so proud." My mother scoffed, her mouth falling open. "You cook? Who taught you to cook? I specifically told you before that's for the robots." My dad added, "Yes, hon, we didn't spend all that money on private school just for you to end up cooking." Basil entered. "Miss Elsie, we need to start dinner soon. Will you be joining me?" "Joining you?" my mom exclaimed. "You're working with a robot, Elsie. Okay, this needs to stop. What's happening here? I'm worried." Miss Maisie interjected smoothly, offering a teacup to my mom. "Dear, here, take this. Try a little tea. It will help you relax." My mom looked down her nose at the cup, but with a nod from my dad, she accepted it and sipped, then another and another. Her expression softened. "Well, Clive, this is good." He nodded. They both sat there, gazing at the autumn decor Janice had arranged so carefully. "Why not stay for dinner?" Janice suggested. "See how well Elsie is doing here." My mom, now smiling, said, "Yes, dinner. That sounds nice." I raised an eyebrow at Miss Maisie. She just smiled warmly and took another sip. Miss Maisie chimed in. "This tea heals all ailments. Now, Elsie, go cook us something wonderful." my parents now laughing together at some shared joke, I stepped away with Basil and began to cook. Thank you again for listening to the Halcyon Radio podcast. Please join me again for the next episode.